It's time for Inside the L, the podcast covering all things Lasalle athletics and taking you behind the scenes. And now, here's your host, Ed LeFurge.
Welcome back to Inside the L, the podcast, episode 9, presented by Junk Rescue. Hope everyone is doing well and staying safe out there in this crazy world that we are living in. Be sure to go ahead, subscribe, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, follow us on Spotify, and subscribe on YouTube. All you have to do is search LaSalle Athletics on all three of those platforms. February, as most people should know, and if they don't, what we're going to do today is educate you. It's Black History Month, and I really want to take the opportunity to celebrate the success of our Black student athletes and alumni, as well as talk about the challenges they've faced and continue to face on a day-to-day basis. I'm going to be joined by two student athletes from our women's lacrosse team that I'll have the great pleasure of speaking with, Shannon Cato and Karissa Worley. And then from the men's swimming team, we're going to have Gregory and Erik Williams join the podcast for this episode. And then on the Alumni Spotlight, presented by iPipeline, men's cross country and track and field alum and current LaSalle alumni board member, Rashon Howard, will join us for that segment. Back in September, the A10 established a commission on racial equity, diversity, and inclusion, and Rashon represents LaSalle on that commission. So let's jump right into it. I'm really looking forward to this episode. I think it's very blatant that there's a lot of issues surrounding racism in our society nowadays, and I think it's really important for us to have these conversations, and it's going to get sensitive. We're going to talk about sensitive topics. We're going to talk about things that may make people uncomfortable, and that's okay. It's okay to feel uncomfortable. It's okay to be vulnerable, and I commend both of the two young ladies I'm about to talk to and both of the gentlemen, as well as Rashon, on our Alumni Spotlight for coming out and speaking about these topics and the injustices that go on in our society. So I really appreciate them and I commend them, and I'm really excited for what we have. So without further ado, let's jump right into things. We're going to be joined now by Shannon Cato and Karissa Worley. They are two outstanding student athletes on our lacrosse team. Thanks for giving me some time out of your schedule. I know today was the first day of team practice for you both. How was it? And more importantly, how are you guys doing?
Hi, it was good. It's nice having all 35 of us out there competing together. It's been a very big build up with being in our pods and everything, but I'm glad we're all out there together.
Yeah, it was really exciting as a freshman coming in, and I've been in pods, so I've only really been with my freshman class, and getting a chance to be with the seniors, juniors, sophomores, and actually getting to know the team is really, really exciting.
Yeah, I could imagine, especially as a freshman and coming to college and your first semester being all virtual and being home, and now you're back on campus. I imagine that's a lot. So I'm glad that, you guys are finally to that point in the progression, our COVID progressions that we talked about on our last episode, to where you can have those full team practices. So that's exciting. Before we, jump into the thick of things, let's take a minute to allow you both to introduce yourselves to our listeners. What year are you, major, position, hometown, etc., whatever however you want to introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Karissa Worley. I'm a defender and I'm a sophomore here. I'm also a social work major. I'm originally from Calvert County, Maryland, but now I live in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware.
And Shannon?
Yeah, I am a freshman. I am also a defender. I am a political science major, and I live in upstate New York in a little town called Bethlehem, but I just say near Albany because a lot more people know where Albany is.
Sure. All right. Well, I appreciate both of you, joining us for the podcast. And let's start off with an easy one. What does Black History Month mean to you?
So for me, I believe that Black History Month is just history that was left out of our textbooks. There's so much that even I am learning. My parents are originally from the Caribbean, so it's really cool getting to learn that history compared to Black American history, which is a little bit similar, but also different. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Shannon. I love Black History Month just because it's the time where you just learn all these interesting things that aren't taught in the school system, which is a shame because there's only probably 3 people you learn for maybe a week in school. But I love it. I just love when I learn new things, when people are posting and you just get to read stories that are hidden under all these like textbooks of like, I want to say like white America is what we basically learn all school, but like now it's just like cultured and you just learn everything.
When I spoke with Karissa earlier, we talked briefly about how lacrosse is a predominantly white sport. What was that like for the two of you growing up, and how has it changed over the years?
Yeah, so I've had some issues in the past. I started playing in 8th grade, summer going into 8th grade, so I was very late. A lot of my friends started 3rd grade, and I live in a predominantly white area. So I played field hockey and I played lacrosse. So those were both very predominantly white sports. I struggled a lot because I don't look the part. Right? So a lot of coaches want you to look a certain way. They want their teams to look a certain way. And I know that sounds weird. Like you wouldn't say a lot of them, they're not particularly biased in general, but they have this idea of what lacrosse is supposed to be. And they don't realize that they have a bias. And it was nice because I had amazing club coaches who were there for me throughout my high school experience, but it did get bad to a point where I did have to leave my public school and I switched to a private school. And I had the most amazing coaches there who helped me thrive and helped me get to Lasalle.
I'm glad that you had that opportunity to go to a place that appreciated you and understood you and made you feel comfortable and part of the team. Karissa, how about you? What was it like for you?
Growing up, I started in 2nd grade. So when we were younger, it wasn't as bad because everyone's just young and we're getting into it. But as it got older, like I want to say middle school is when you started seeing like diversity and a big change, because I also played field hockey too, and that's also predominantly white sport. And like my travel team, some of the girls I love to death, but others, it was just bashing, like back and forth. Like I've had a couple of teammates use slurs towards me, even though I'm half and half. But it's frustrating because why does the color matter? What your athletic abilities are? Like it's been frustrating, and definitely with the process of committing to a college and school, you basically have to look at the team setting. Like I was always shy of a school that had basically the same, like usually tall, white, blonde girls are on the roster. So I was like, I don't know if like I would fit in per se more towards that side, because I've gone on camps and it's kind of like the same, like you're kind of kicked to the curb and not looked at or judged as equally as someone that looks like the perfect lacrosse player. But definitely like Lasalle, well, I was recruited under Candace, but now we have Coach Rhodes, which I love her to death. But she was just saying like they want to change like the culture of Lasalle and like make it more like hardcore family based and like not really worry about like what you look like on the outside. It's more like what's on the inside as like a team, which drew me here, which I love.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you, Karissa. Like Coach Rhodes is absolutely amazing. She's there to support everyone for anything you need all summer. When I couldn't come and play fall with everyone, she was always texting me. Nicole was always texting me. Kat, all the older girls were constantly saying, "Hi, how are you?" And like that just makes a huge difference, because you know that everyone wants everyone to succeed. And it's absolutely amazing. And like a lot of times when I'd say, oh, I'm going to play a sport in college, people would automatically assume that I was either running track or playing basketball.
Right.
And it's like, no, I'm actually playing lacrosse. And when I would say that, they would look at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, it's not that uncommon. Like, it's just as much of a sport as basketball or track.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's like when it comes to like looking a certain way, like how we look, it's just like, oh, you must sprint or you must play ball. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
no, can't play basketball.
Especially as defenders, because we're
Exactly.
a lot of muscle,
Yeah,
so people just assume because we're
Well, the one thing, and Karissa, we'll get into, coming from a biracial family in a little bit. And, I'm glad that you guys have that sense of community under Coach Rhodes and within the lacrosse program and at Lasalle. And, one of the things like, I recognize my privilege as a white man. I don't have to deal with the stuff that women have to deal with. I don't have to deal with the stuff that Black people or folks of Asian descent, like any minority, has to deal with. And I recognize that. And, one of the things that I've noticed is that from this conversation so far, like, it means the world to you that you're just being treated the same as any other recruit. Is that fair for me to say?
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous that we even have to talk about this, but like, that's something really simple that people can do, right?
Mm-hmm. We would hope.
Yeah, I mean, you would think, but let's talk a little bit more about, growing up as a Black young lady. Were there any Black role models that you looked up to? And if so, why them? And, one thing, obviously we see Black male athletes everywhere, right? LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, there's a lot of big names when it comes to Black male athletes, but not necessarily Black female athletes. We know the Williams sisters, but I feel like outside of that, there's not a lot of Black female role models. So were there particular, Black role models that you had and, any female athletes?
Yeah. So I grew up around music ever since I was little. So I absolutely adored Beyonce. I would always be like, Mom, because I love music. So I'm always like, Mom, I'm Beyonce. And then as I got older and lacrosse started, Taylor Thornton goes to Northwestern, and she is an amazing player. And it was really nice to see, especially at Northwestern, who I believe is in the top 20, such a high school, like doing well. And for me, that meant the world, because a lot of the big names in lacrosse, we have Kayla Trainer, Katie Rowan, right? They all were from my area. Mm-hmm. But seeing Taylor Thornton really changed my perspective and really was like, okay, so if she can do it, I can do it.
Mm-hmm. And so Taylor is currently at Northwestern?
No, she graduated a while ago. She's playing for the PBL, I believe, on Brave. Yeah.
So that's cool. So somebody directly in the sport that you are playing and looking to play at the collegiate level, and you were able to have at least one role model like that.
Yeah.
That's great.
I would definitely say probably mine are the same as you. Definitely Beyonce. Like, I thought I could sing. Like, I thought I was the world. Like, my mom, my grandma would put it on, and I was there, single ladies, like, dancing. Like, we all know I really can't sing, but it's okay. Shannon can sing. She can sing.
I can.
Really good. And then there's not that many people, of color to, like, in athletics, like, female-wise. Mm-hmm. There's Venus and Serena, amazing at their sport.
Sure.
They were tennis, you would think, white sport, like.
Right.
That's, like, what you see. But, like, they changed the sport to, like, be empowering. And I forget the one athlete, but she wore all the names for, like, BLM. During every match, she wore a different name, and, like, that was, like, powerful to me.
Yeah.
I think she was Asian.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
But my grandma, she's not Black, but like my grandma has always been like my role model.
Sure.
And pushed me to be better, because she's always told me, like, it doesn't matter what you look on the outside. It doesn't matter how many people hate you. As long as you can, like, stay true to yourself and believe you can do it, like, you can do anything. So that's really, like, my role model, honestly.
And so let's talk about you coming from a biracial family, right? One of your parents is Black, one of your parents is white.
Yeah.
You have white grandparents I know that you're close with. You just mentioned your grandmother. We talked about that a little bit earlier. What was that like growing up? Was that, I mean, do you think you would see it differently because it was biracial compared to Black parents? Do you know, how do you think that changed things?
So growing up was kind of hard. So I have half siblings, and they both know, like, their dad, and then I'm the only one that doesn't. But I was always, like, raised to believe that my sister's dad was mine, and then I figured out that he wasn't. So that was kind of hard for me, because I always thought, like, why wasn't I wanted? But then being in a biracial family, it was frustrating, I want to say, because for the longest time, probably 10, 13 years, my family was the only biracial family in our town.
Wow.
So whenever we went out to dinner, people would stare, and they don't, it was rude. It was, like, kind of rude stares. And it's kind of like, why do you have, like, biracial children? Like, church was the same way, which you would think it would be differently because church. And then, like, growing up in schools, it was always, I was too Black for the white kids, but I was too white for the Black kids. And it was just kind of like, I was there, but for the longest time, there was no other biracial people there. So I was kind of, like, stuck in my own bubble, trying to fit in with both, like, whoever would, like, accept me. But I would say this year, there's, like, coming to LaSalle, there's definitely more, like, Black athletes. Not a lot of Black athletes, but that I can, like, draw to and, like, become, like, closer friends. So, like, I feel more accepted in, like, on both sides, I want to say, of me. But, like, there's still, like, the pull of, like, people just looking at me differently, like, especially in my own family. We definitely have some racist people in our family.
We all do, unfortunately. You know, and hopefully we can use this, you know, as an education tool, and we can help hopefully change people, and, you know, have them open their eyes. And JRM Supplier Consulting strategic services include competitive sourcing analysis, development of supplier contracts, contract negotiations, supplier contract management, and relationship building. We will help you establish procurement methodologies and utilize best practices for competitive sourcing, event development, and management. We provide experiential benefits for HR, finance, accounting, marketing, IT, supply chain, sales operations, and legal. For more information, visit us online at jrmsupplierconsulting.com.
Since 1974, Shannon Environmental Design has provided the highest quality landscape design and build services at the most cost-effective prices. Located in Plymouth Meeting and 4 regional offices throughout the greater Delaware Valley, Shannon Environmental Design is prepared to offer professional design, build, and maintenance services to address a wide range of landscape design needs. Shannon maintains specialty divisions in golf, sports, civil engineering, and interiors. To learn more, check us out today at sharondesign.com.
LaSalle fans, are you looking for something to get embroidered or imprinted? If so, let Campus Clothes help you get the look. Whether your team is in the corporate office or on the athletic field, Campus Clothes can supply your team with all its needs. Choose from a variety of t-shirts, uniforms, fleeces, polo shirts, and jackets. Visit us on the web at campusclothes.com. That's campusclothes.com. Or give us a call at 215-357-0892. That's 215-357-0892. Looking good is the first step to playing well. Campus Clothes. Get the look. You brought up Black Lives Matter a little bit earlier. With all of the events that have happened this year, in your opinion, how has it changed being Black in America?
So I know this like might sound weird, but growing up, like I said, I was in a very predominantly white town, so I kind of ignored that the black side of me, if that makes sense. I kind of just like pretended that I like just hid that part, because like, growing up, a lot of people would say, "Oh, you're so well spoken," and it was like, at the time when I was little, I was like, "Oh, thank you." Like, and then as I got older, I was like, "Wait, but what do you mean by that?"
Yeah, like why is that surprising?
Why is that surprise? Exactly. And then when I remember this moment when Barack Obama became president, everybody was telling my family that we looked like the Obamas, and like in reality, like we really don't.
Like, what does that even mean?
Not
Like,
at all. Like my dad is half white, half black, so he was a lot lighter, and my siblings are a lot lighter than me. I'm the darkest in my family. So like people were saying like, "Oh, you look like the Obamas," and I would always be like, "Oh, you look like Sasha Malia," and at the time I was like, "Oh my God, like I look like the president's children." And then now that I'm older and I'm looking back at that, it's like, but I didn't look like them. I don't in any way, right? And I've noticed since Black Lives Matter, I have lost some friends, and I have had a stronger. I've realized who my real friends are.
Yeah.
And it's been hard because those friends who I thought were my best friends were spreading hateful comments, and I had to explain to them like, you say this about us, but that's me, but they're not seeing me as black in their heads, right? So they're just
like there's you're an exception.
Exactly. So they'll be like, "Oh, all those thugs," and I'm like, "So I'm a thug?" And they're like, "No, not you." But I'm like, "But that doesn't make sense because I'm just like them." And they don't see the difference in their heads because I'm friends with them, but I don't want to be friends with someone who's looking at other people like that because I'm just the same.
Karissa, I saw you a lot, shaking your head along with Shannon. What?
Oh, everything. Especially, I've lost a lot of friends. I've lost a lot of followers, but I don't really care about them. Like, okay. But you just see people's true colors, and it kind of like makes you look at them and like, why didn't I see this like sooner? Like in our friendship, why did it have to like come out now? Like, why is it a big deal now? And like when she was saying like, when they're like, "Oh, those thugs," and you're like, okay, well, they look like me. And they're like, "Oh, no, I'm not racist because I'm friends with you, but I don't like them." And it's kind of like, well, that's something I support and I'm strongly about.
Right.
So I don't think that's how it works. And just, I agree completely with Shannon. Like, you see people's true colors, and it's sad to see people that you've had like such a long friendship with, I want to say, act or react in that way. But then again, it's eye-opening that like not everyone that's close to you is good for you or supports you or wishes you the best, if they're just so quick to be like, basically forget your people. Like, it's disgusting.
Throughout my recruiting process, when I was still at my old public school, I had a teacher, my coach, say to me, "Oh, you should look at schools in the South." And at first I didn't really think much. So I was like, "Oh yeah, like I actually like Elon," or I was looking. And then he goes, "Yeah, because they have a quota to fill, so you would get into those schools easier."
Oh my.
I was in a freshman at that time. And at the time, because he's a superior, I just kind of laughed it off, and I didn't realize what he was saying. I went home, I told my mom, and my mom was livid.
Sure. As she should be.
And then she explained to me what he was actually trying to say.
Yeah.
So,
I hate the fact there's quotas anywhere. Like, oh, gotta pick a certain amount of Black kids that we're allowing in, but majority, it's not for your academics, it's for your athletics. Like, are they gonna bring our school money, or are they gonna cost us money? And it's kind of sad to see that. Oh, but the South schools definitely had that talk too. Like, you could get some more money because you are like biracial, like go ahead. And it's kind of like, I want to be picked for me.
Right.
I want to be in someone's bubble. I want to shine in my own way.
Right. And so do the two of you think that because of everything that's happened, does it make it easier to have those conversations with people? Right? Like Shannon, you said, like, that was your teacher, he was a superior. Do you, like, because of the massive momentum that's behind the Black Lives Matter movement and about, equality in the country, do you think that it's easier to have those difficult conversations with people?
No, it never gets easier.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people say that, but it really depends on the mindset. And right now, I'm very happy to be part of Gen Z and millennials, and we're really changing the world. And a lot of people aren't happy with us. But I think as my generation gets older, 100%, that's why I'm going into political science. I would love to do something in government. I'd love to change what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But no, the conversations get harder because people are getting mad right now.
Right.
They're saying, why are we putting so much emphasis on this, right? But people don't understand that they're like, oh, like segregation, but that was like what, like 60 years ago? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like it happened like 1,000 years ago.
Right. This is still something that it wasn't long ago that, Martin Luther King was dealing with what he dealt with, and I Have a Dream speech, and, voting rights and all that stuff. Like, those are things that, like, your grandparents probably lived through.
Exactly.
Yeah. I agree. I don't think conversations are getting easier, especially not everyone's, I want to say tough-skinned. I feel like there's a lot of sensitive people out there that are just like, nope, can't talk about that topic. And it's like, why? Why aren't you open to talking about BLM when it's important?
Right.
And they're like, well, I don't think it's just Black lives. I think it's all lives matter. And that's what frustrates me, is because it's not saying that no one else matters, but like all lives can't matter until like Black lives matter, because we are suppressed. We're terrible, like economy wise, like everything's such against Black people and like being successful. Like in school, like if Black lives mattered so much, you would teach it in the school system,
right,
but you take it out. Why? Why are you removing something, one, that's basically built America? Like it's built on the backs of going all the way back to slavery.
Yep.
But you only talk like maybe a week in school about slavery, maybe 2 max, and then it's pushed aside. Mm-hmm. So until people in the school system really want to open up and actually add these curriculums of like Black lives and the whole truth of it, is when there will be a difference, is once that's all added.
Yeah.
Because, and I also agree with Shannon, with our generation, I feel like there's a higher chance of that being accomplished.
Right.
Like,
and so one of the things that I wanted to talk to you both about, because you're both women of color, and Shannon, I'm sure particularly for you with an interest in political science and going into government, to see a Black woman in one of the highest positions in government, does that motivate you? Does that empower you? Does that make you feel like, okay, we're starting to make progress? Or there's still a ton of work that has to be done, absolutely, but does that give you hope that like we're starting to head in the right direction?
Yeah, 100%, because that makes me happy for like little girls when I didn't have that.
Right.
Could not look up. So the Gen Alpha, I believe is what they're called. When they're looking at that, then they have in their mind what we didn't, and now they can go off of us and do even better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. To me, it was empowering. Not only was it a woman, but a Black woman as the first one. I was just like, everything's going to change. Like, from the young girls, like now knowing, well, she can do it, I can do it. Not just being a female, but being a minority, like I can do it. Let me do it better. Mm-hmm. Which in me, like personally, I was like, I'm inspired. Like, I'm going to be like the best social worker I want to be. Like, and I also want to have like a business on the side, but it just kind of like pushed me to be like, okay, she could do it. And she came from little, I can do it and expand, and then hopefully be an inspiration to like a younger girl and have her push and go higher. And then not only women, but color can just keep pushing and getting better and out of like the slum, I would say.
I want to end on this note before I kind of open it up to the two of you to, you know, tell our listeners, you know, what you want them to know. Certainly having Black History Month is a start, right? It's not like, it doesn't need to be confined to just a month though, right? And so like, what else can we as a society do to help increase the visibility and accomplishments of the Black community? Are there certain things that you know, that you think could be beneficial?
Yeah, I think celebrating Black stories, but not just the struggle stories, right? Because there are so many movies about slavery, which is 100% important, but that in a way that sheds a negative light. Because now people are only going to look at us in that way, and it's like a sob story, and like we're trying to get people to feel bad, but that's not at all what we want to do. I think there are amazing movies out there, comedy movies, romantic movies that just celebrate everything, and it's important that those are also shed light on, and not just all the aggressive sob stories.
I agree. I definitely agree.
Is there anything, you know, and I told you both, you know, I want this to be as much an opportunity for you to educate our listeners and educate anybody who may come across this. So is there anything that I haven't touched on that, you know, is super pressing to either one of you that you think is important to, you know, say?
Well, I think the most important thing is that everyone thinks that with BLM, everyone's saying, oh, like it's only Black lives, right? So it's not. It's just a start. And I believe that with everything going on, it's important just to shed light. Like now we have phones, right? So people can capture what's happening. It's no longer the cops versus whatever happened. It's no longer people hiding things. And we need to be able to, now we can see and have our own opinions. And we just need to everyone needs to have an open mind. No one's trying to force Black Lives Matter down anyone's throat. Just to be aware and be able to have these conversations. And it's also important that people don't come off aggressive when they are talking about Black Lives Matter, right? Approach with an open conversation, because people, whenever you bring it up, they're going to be very hesitant to talk about it. So instead of arguing with people, kind of show them the holes in their ways and expand their minds, instead of trying to say, oh, well, you're wrong because you think like this.
That was so well said. That was so good. I agree with her. It was very well worded. Just, I feel like people just need to be more open-minded. It's not back in the old days. We're not living off our parents. We need to make our own decisions and truly look at everything as a whole and see what's wrong and what needs to be changed. You don't have to instantly in one day be like, oh yeah, BLM all the way, but like be more educated on exactly what's happening, not just, I want to say like fake news or stuff that's altered to be in what you want to see. I think just educating from Fox News to CBS to like all these different news casts, but like educate yourself on everything so you're not just blinded and seeing what you want to see or like what you grew up on looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I think racism and everything's taught in a way, which there are studies out there.
Yeah.
You can unteach yourself it. It might take a while, but you can relearn something and make it better. But with the technology we have, you can Google something and re-Google it and find something. Like, you can ask, we have social media, you can ask some random person about how they feel about something, or if you had a question about something. Like, I know it's awkward, but doing the awkward things and uncomfortable things is something that needs to be done for there to be change in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, both of you very well said. I mean, I think that's, you know, in my mind, and like I said to both of you, like, it's okay to feel uncomfortable. Like, it's okay to have the uncomfortable conversation. Like, you need that to happen in order for us to have change, right? Like, I think that's part of it. And, you know, it's, I wish we weren't at a point where this conversation had to be had, right? Like, things were just, people just accepted everybody. And, you know, I think the big takeaways for me, you know, that the two of you, a consistent theme has been openness, people being open and asking questions and learning, and, you know, being okay to feel uncomfortable and being okay to get educated. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so crazy because looking back, when I was younger and before BLM, I didn't realize the ridiculous things that have been said to me and kind of just ignored. And not just that, like, now that you see, like, so American Girl dolls, Addie, she is a slave. Well, was a slave. And that was the only Black doll at that time. So what are you teaching people, right? Nobody wanted Addie because of that. She had this super sob story. I still have her. She's in my closet. But yeah, but like Kit is another American Girl doll, and she just like was scootering around. And it's like, why couldn't a Black doll do that without having this whole, and I understand where they're coming from. They're trying to teach young girls about what happened with slavery, but at the same time, you have to understand how young they are. The message will go right over their heads. So they're not going to see that. They're just going to see a slave at the age.
Well, and I think, and I think you see that all over in pop culture, right? Like, somebody says Barbie, you think of the white blonde girl, right? That's what Barbie is. You don't think of a Black Barbie, you know. Disney princess, right? It took them how long to have a Black princess? Right? Yes, they had, you know, Pocahontas, who was a minority figure, but I mean, I think it was Tiana, the Princess and the Frog, right? That was the first Black princess,
and she started off as like lower class, working her butt off to get to where she was.
Yeah.
And she's a frog for half the movie too. So
yeah, good message there.
Well, it's very clear we still got a long way to go, and I can't thank the two of you enough for, you know, being comfortable enough to have the conversation with me and help me educate people and, you know, teach me. You've both taught me a thing or two. I acknowledge that I'm white and I have privilege as a white man, and so for me, you know, I want to better myself and, you know, help better society. And so having the two of you as somebody who I feel comfortable having a conversation with and can teach me something, and hopefully educate our listeners, I really appreciate that, and I can't thank the two of you enough.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think it's good that this topic is actually being heard from people and actually being aware and spoken about, not just hidden in a closet.
I will, you know, this is a platform that we have, and I'll welcome you back anytime to, you know, have more conversations about this. And, you know, it's important. And I think, you know, at the university we saw, you know, they have a new mission for diversity, and some working groups around that. And the Atlantic 10 has a, you know, the diversity and inclusion and racial equity commission that they launched. So you know, I think these are definitely good starting points, right? And so, well, it's just gonna take some time, but we'll get to where we need to be.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
It was my pleasure. Shannon Cato, Karissa Worley, we appreciate the two of them jumping on the podcast with us to talk about this very important topic in society. We're going to take a quick break, hear some words from our sponsors, and then we'll be back with Isaiah Gregory and Erik Williams, two Black student athletes on our men's swimming team. We'll be right back. Sports are back, and at Lasalle, they truly are something special. And boy, come game day, we take it to the next level. Fans are locked in, wearing their finest blue and gold. But it's only a real game day at Lasalle when you have done one more thing. Break out the Hers. Dial up the crunch with Hers Pub Pretzels. Going for the snack win doesn't get easier or tastier. You break out the crunchy dip receiver with Hers Ridge chips. Both go perfectly with cheering on the Explorers to the last second. Game time, halftime, overtime. It's your time to break out the Hers.
Building a great team takes many years of practice. I'm Dennis Pagliotti, and at the Bricklayers and Allied Craft Workers Local 1 of Pennsylvania, Delaware, we've been practicing since 1865. Check us out at bac-1.org. That's bac-1.org.
The men and women of IBEW Local Union 98 support LaSalle University and the Explorers. From the time of Tom Gola to Lionel Simmons, and to this day, the members of Local 98 have provided the electrical, wiring, and network needs for LaSalle. For more information, look us up online at ibew98.org. And we're back on Inside the L, the podcast, now joined by two of our men's swimmers, Isaiah Gregory and Erik Williams. Gentlemen, thank you so much for making some time to chat with me.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having me. Honored to be here. Happy to be here.
Yeah, my pleasure. And, just like I told the young ladies and I tell you guys, like, this is a really important topic, right? And we need to have these conversations. So, I respect and I commend you for, being student leaders to get involved and have these difficult type of conversations and help educate our listeners on things that we need to change as a society moving forward. So, but before we get into the nitty gritty, introduce yourselves. Where you guys from? Talk about, what events do you swim? What year you major? That type of stuff. Let our listeners know who they're listening to.
All right. Zay, you want to go first? Or?
Yeah, I can go. So my name's Isaiah Gregory. I'm a senior here at LaSalle University. I swim the 100 breast, 200 breast, and the 50 freestyle. I'm a member of the 200 freestyle record relay up on our board. I'm a public health major. I love being here. I'm happy to be here. And I have two older brothers. I have an older brother and a younger brother. And that's pretty much it about me.
And your older brother, Norm, right?
Norman, he's also on that relay, the record-breaking relay, and he graduated this past year. So miss him a bunch, but he's at home doing well. Super, super proud of Norm and everything he's done. Erik, introduce yourself, man.
All right. I'm Erik Williams. I'm 19 years old, sophomore here. I'm a bio major. Grew up in Glenside, which is not that far from campus.
Glenside, what's up? I live in Glenside, Erik. Okay.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I grew up there. I've been living there since I was about 1. I was born in West Philadelphia, but we moved when I was little.
Born and raised?
Nah.
Like around where you spend most of your days?
Nah, we moved over here to Glenside, and yeah. So, my dad's a dentist. So yeah, that's about it. What else? Yeah, I do two free. For swimming wise, I do 200 free, 100 free, most freestyle stuff. I used to do a lot of backstroke, but since I came here, switched up a little bit, try out new things, So yeah, doing pretty good right now.
So let me start off by asking you guys, what does Black History Month mean to you?
What Black History Month means to me, it means a lot. It's 28 days of celebrating my heritage, what people of my color, my history have went through, what we got, what we have earned, what we have yet to change. And it just stands for this month means that, I'm Black and I should be proud. And there's reasons I have to be proud. And there's other reasons why I should be fighting for certain things or standing up for certain things and injustices. Black History Month is very important. It's a reminder to not just us, but I think the entire world or all of America or whoever celebrates it, that being of color or being from a different background or a different heritage doesn't change who you are, and it doesn't mean the world's perfect in certain ways.
My opinion is I think of Black History Month like a good reminder, of who I am and where I came from, and just like a nice time to just not forget about like our past and stuff, and just know that like just because you're Black, you're just like everyone else. We should all have the same opportunities, which we're getting towards, and it's just a time to just feel great about yourself, about being Black in America.
What are Black History Month is a great start, but and I asked our two young ladies about this that I spoke to before you, but what do we need to do as a society to increase it so it's not just a month, right? We can celebrate the accomplishments of the Black community every day, right? There's no reason we need to limit it to a month.
True.
First thing I would say is everyone needs to acknowledge their racism or their racist actions, no matter how anti-racist or I'm not racist you may think you are racist in some way or format, whether it be towards Black people or towards any other race. Everyone has those prejudices, those ideas, those thoughts, those feelings, maybe actions. There is a way to be subconsciously racist, and that is true. There is no denying about it. Everyone goes through it. The more you are aware of it, the easier it becomes to communicate that or understand things and be understanding. Another thing is simply with everything that's going on is social injustice. Realizing that certain races and certain ethnicities or certain people, certain religions, whatever it may be, but especially people of color are being over criminalized or things like that, over the smallest of major offenses. It just really brings to light that the changes that we need to have are based upon just lack of ignorance and a lack of acknowledgement or acceptance that there is a problem with being Black and that there's a problem in the healthcare system, the way we are treated by doctors and medical people, the way we are treated by officers in the government, and the simple fact that some days or sometimes there's moments where you feel like you're being oppressed by some of your own or by people of power.
Erik?
Yeah. So I think that, even after Black History Month is over, it should be a good mindset to, be looking out for your Black friends or just, make sure you have an eye on anything, make sure nothing racist is happening, around you, because it's hard to solve all the problems in the world, but your direct problems and things going around you, you can help solve. Like, you're not like a bystander. If you see anything going on, you can go and help out and just make sure everyone's being treated equally.
Do you guys, given the events that have gone on this year, and George Floyd and Mr. Arbery and Breonna Taylor and the countless names, right, that we could keep going and saying, do you think that changes Black History Month this year? Do you think because of how crazy things have been the last 365 days, does that make this Black History Month more important? Do you think that there's anything that will maybe this is the start of the change?
When I say this, I hope it doesn't offend anyone. Black History Month has been something that has been celebrated for years now. So the simple fact that because there was a pandemic and it was brought to justice, that brought to the eye front or the forefront of everyone's social media or everything, that Black lives suddenly matter when they have always mattered and should have always been mattering and should be mattering, continue to matter.
Right.
I don't think this month is going to be like some big spark of a change. This entire event, this entire timeline, my entire life, and this entire generation is going to be a part of that change, whether that starts today, tomorrow, or during Black History Month or after. I don't think this month is anything specialer than the other months in the way that it's Black History Month or that it's going to be a pinpoint or a pivoting start of change. The change started a long time ago. The shifting of tides, the way we stand up for ourselves now, and we are doing everything we can to educate one another on certain injustices and certain rights, certain things, certain beliefs, your pride of heritage. I think Black History Month this month is really a encouragement of our heritage, where we come from, and what changes we need to make or what we should see. I don't think it's going to be that, like I said, that big snowball that starts the little snowflake that starts the snowball effect of change. I think it's already been happening, and it will continue to happen. And if you don't believe in that change, then get out the way.
Very true. Yeah, I agree with Zay. I think we've always been fighting for our rights and everything. And I think this month, if anything, is just encouragement to fight more. And it's like kind of like a memorial for, for what we lost. And we just take that energy and we put it towards bettering ourselves and bettering the country and making sure we get treated just as good as everyone else gets treated. So he said that pretty well. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, it's like about remembering. So this month, I think a lot of people are going to be thinking about, Breonna Taylor and just in their minds, like, wow, this is the country we live in right now, and we can better this country. Okay, so
yeah, I think everybody can be better, and as a collective, we can better this country. It has to happen. It's not a matter of that it can happen. It needs to happen, right?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I want to ask you guys, we talked to the lacrosse girls about their difficulties growing up in, as two Black girls playing a predominantly white sport. Have you guys dealt with any struggles along your way as Black men in the sport of swimming?
Yeah, absolutely. Zay, you want me to go real quick? And then
yeah, you absolutely go.
So I've been swimming maybe since I was 6, right? And that's really young. So you'd expect me to be this unbelievably fast swimmer. I've been swimming for so long. That's not the case, because I had to switch to I've been on maybe 7 teams because of this reason. I had switched from team to team because I'm not being treated the same as other people. I remember this one team I was on when I was a little kid. The coach would give me 0 attention when I'm not to brag, but I had the most potential. I was winning all my races, everything. And me and my dad overheard the coach telling everyone they need to beat me, I shouldn't be winning and stuff like that. And so I had to move teams, and it would just happen everywhere. So every time I move a team, the coach wouldn't give me attention. You move another team, the coach wouldn't give me attention. So I was at kind of the plateau, and I had to keep moving teams until I found a team that gave me attention. Eventually I found a team called SACA, Salvation Army Croc Aquatics. And they used to be PDR, which is a huge team. And it's really an advocate for Black swimmers. Most of the team is Black. The coaches are Black. It's an extremely nice team. So after I went there, then my progress started going up immediately, and I kind of made that my home until I got to here, where this is a huge, nice, diverse team. I love every single one of my teammates here. It's nice, and this is the team, and this is where I wanted to be my whole life. This is what I've been aiming for, and I've got it right here at Lasalle. So
just a quick, I want to bounce off what you just said about soccer, the program, and that stuff. Who's your coach, man? Tell them who your coach is.
My coach is Jim Ellis. He's trained maybe hundreds of Black swimmers and been to the Olympics, all that. He's the coach. So we found the best possible coach possible. There's a movie about him called Pride. You could look it up. It talks about the struggle of his swimmers and how they turn nothing into this great team. And they don't show it to the end of the movie, but most of them actually make the Olympics and stuff. It's actually a really crazy movie. Yeah. Awesome. My other coaches.
I'm glad you had Coach Ellis.
Yeah. Kind of saved me. He saved the sport for me, because I was thinking about doing something else. Yeah.
Isaiah?
My story isn't as sad as his. Thank God my mom was able to get me on a predominantly welcoming or predominantly colored different ethnicity team. I swam for the Pittsburgh Stingrays before our team was disbanded, because a lot of people moved on to different things. My coach is about probably the same age or old as Jim Ellis. My coach is Jose Holder from back at home, and I started when I was about 6. I'm 22 years old now, and I don't think I've had as many days off as I had days to sleep in for practices. But that's the price you pay to be a D1 athlete. My story isn't as sad, but in the way that I went through a lot of things, a lot of struggles, but most of those happened behind the scenes with my parents. A lot of drama involving committees of like selecting me to be a part of different teams, like zone teams, about training for junior nationals, about joining different teams. We really, my brothers and I, we really didn't prosper in our area or show up in our area until our talent was something you couldn't overlook. We had to really win and stand out to get the attention and the welcoming of our teams. With that being said, though, we also changed the atmosphere of our team. A lot of swimming when we were in my area, Allegheny Mountain Swimming, um, before I started, it wasn't very social. It wasn't a social club kind of thing. You weren't making friends really. You were just swimming at meets and you were hanging out with your 18 teammates and leaving. Um, my team and my friends and I, we became competitive, but we made it a friendly competition. We never looked at each other and went, I'm going to kick your butt because you're taller than me or because you're stronger than me. We went about it and was like, I want to beat my friend because they're better than me at this event. And I want to get better in swimming. And I want to go to a Division I school. I want to swim at, Stanford, Cal Berkeley. We changed the atmosphere and we changed it to a way that people of color were welcomed. They were welcomed with open arms. They seen that, okay, 3 black kids can swim. What if we had a team of 2 or more? What about that tall kid on the basketball team who's always wanted to learn to swim or how to swim? We broke the barriers of, okay, can this person be a leader? Can this individual be social? Is this person really talented, or is it just a fluke that he won or has been good till he's 13? I'm proud to say that when I go home, the friends that I have made and that the relationship I have with these coaches on club teams and things continue to be as strong as they have been before. And like I said, we changed the environment in the way that we made it so much fun. I mean, we would take pictures at meets. We had teams, people from different teams across the state coming to speak to us. We were making friends nationwide. My club team traveled to different meets, one called the Black Heritage Meet and the Black History Meet. And one took place in February and another one in May. And both of them focused on showing the talent nationwide of African Americans. That's when I met Colleen Jones and other people. So it was really huge and pivotal to me.
Yeah, that's awesome that they had those events. And I want to touch on something that Erik had said about the diversity of your team and your program, and I think the athletic department as a whole at LaSalle. Like, how important is that for you guys to have that?
That's huge. That's huge. That's what makes your team feel like home. That's why I go swim every day to not let my boys down. That's my family, And if I don't have that motivation, then I'm not enjoying my sport, and that's what I want to do. And that's where I feel comfortable is with my team. That's diverse. That is just like me.
To go off diversity and not to bring like anything down, but the reason I came to LaSalle is because one, it was the only university that kept in constant contact with me. Coach Jamie Platt was the only coach that kept in constant contact with me and was the only coach that gave me an official visit. And I jumped at it. And then when he gave me a offer that I couldn't refuse, I accepted it with joy, because when I came on my visit, I seen how diverse the team was on so many different levels. It wasn't just, different kids from different countries. It was different personalities, different individuals, different groups. And everything about it just screamed, no matter who you are, where you come from, what you come from, on this team, you are a teammate, you're a person, you're a family member. You're not just another time. You're not just another, set of cap and goggles. You're not just another bill expense or another investment. You're a person. We're going to grow your character, and you're also going to grow in the pool and get faster and better. And that's why I came here, because diversity was important to me, and having a coach that understood diversity and character was more important to me than the sport.
Yep. I'm sure it's not just Zay's brother. Like, you come to campus, you see, oh, that's my brother. That's why I want to go here. No, the whole team is diverse. We have German people.
Sure.
From Africa. We have a Russian coach. So many different races and cultures all intertwined into one group of people. And it's just fun being here. It's amazing.
I mean, Erik, when he came on his visit, we had at the time, it was me, Norman, Sean, Marcus, Gustav, Ian from South Africa. He transferred recently, though, but Ian from South Africa. And we had another kid from South Africa, Christoph. We had about 5 or 6 people who you could say would be considered non-American or not white, if you want to say anything. Mm-hmm. So to come to a program and see that it was built on diversity or stands on diversity really made me feel welcomed coming in as an African-American swimmer from a predominantly white place and a predominantly white sport. That didn't make me scared to go to a predominantly white university or anything like that. If the opportunity presented itself, I still would have picked this job because I knew my value here and that the coaches valued me, and the friendships that I've made here and the bonds, and just like I said, once again, the diversity that this team has been built on made me be very proud to be a part of something and make records here and do changes here.
Shifting gears a little bit, what's something you would say to somebody who's trying to be an ally, who's trying to, support the cause and help make that change? What are some of those things, you'd say to those folks?
You want me to go first, Eric, or do you want to take?
Yeah, you can go first.
The thing I would say is there is no such thing as a wrong or dumb question. It's how you word it or the attitude in which you ask it. I will not be offended if somebody asks me about my struggles or why I feel certain types of ways or why I don't feel comfortable. I feel uncomfortable when there's a lot of white people in a room and I'm the only Black person there. I feel like I stand out more and I feel like I'm not welcome there because I'm the only person of color there. Does that mean I don't deserve to be there? No. It's just how I might feel. I might be nervous. So that's one way to put it. Instead of asking, why do you always get scared around white people? Do they scare you? That makes me angry and not want to look at you as an ally. The second thing is you are going to be wrong on things and you need to accept that in a way that you can't say something and tell me, oh, that's wrong. You're just judging. What I've been through is different from what you may have been through. Your experiences, I will never put down. I will always try to understand them because that's the way my mother raised me and that's the way everybody should treat one another. Understanding that there's differences from the backgrounds of which you come from. Does this mean every white person comes from a $6 million household or a $6 million family? Absolutely not. But that doesn't mean you have the right to tell me that because I was raised in a middle-class home that I'm not someone who's I don't know, I talk white, things of that sort. But any advice or guidance I would give to someone is understand that you have to be consistent with how your actions, with your change and the questions you ask. You never want to, the moment you change up or you act out of, if you want to say character in that situation, if you act like someone who is an ally up to a point where you break and don't become an ally, you don't get that bond back. You don't get that trust back. You won't be considered an ally anymore. That's with anything in general, regardless of this. But ask questions, be a part of the change, do everything you can to change, and understand that no matter how small the changes you are or as questions you ask, if you learn from that and you pass that on to someone else younger than you or someone older than you and do your part in changing and carrying on and creating that change, perfect. That's just the best advice I give you. Just keep being persistent, ask questions, and be willing to accept that you're ignorant on a certain subject or topic.
Yep, I agree. I think the best way to be an ally is just be human, just be a good person, treat everyone how you would treat like your family, okay? Don't exclude people out of certain activities because of their color and stuff like that. And if you don't mind, just educate yourself a little bit, to piggyback on that. You can be like the best friend you can in general to us, and then also now you have a knowledge base of what's going on. If they need to talk to you, you can talk to them, and that you can start there. Just being humane, being a humane person, and just talking to us. Making sure everything's going good with us. And yeah, you don't need to go above and beyond, but that'll be a really good start.
Yeah, the consistency is in the bare minimum. Being aware of your race, like I said, your racist phrases, actions, things of that sort.
Watch what you say.
Exactly. Watch what you say. Watch what you ask. I don't care how long we are friends. There's certain things you can't say. There is no such
exactly.
N-word pass. Just because it's said by a predominantly Black artist in music doesn't mean you get to say it.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Just understand where you come from and the differences and the social things that there's certain things you're never going to be able to relate on or do, and there's certain things I will never be able to relate on and do. That's simple.
Big thanks to Isaiah, Gregory, and Erik Williams for joining us on this episode of the podcast. Really important to have those guys shed some light on the difficulties that they've gone through and that so many people go through on a daily basis in this world. This is just one little way that we can start to create some change. So I'm really grateful for them for educating me to help put this out there and give us all the opportunity to make positive changes in the world. Coming up next, it's the Alumni Spotlight. We're going to be joined by Rashon Howard, cross country, track and field alumni. He's doing really, really big things. And back in September, when the A10 announced a new commission on diversity, equity, racial, and inclusion, he is the representative, one of the representatives for Lasalle. So really excited to ask him about that and some other big things that he's got going on. So stay tuned. We'll be back right here on Inside the L, the podcast. In today's economy, good financial advice is critical. That's why it's important to work with a team of dedicated financial advisors committed to listening to you, understanding your concerns, and helping you make sure all aspects of your financial life are aligned. At Crow Wealth Management at UBS Financial Services, we strive to provide advice tailored to your individual circumstances and all you'd like your wealth to achieve. Talk to us about how we can help you embrace your financial future with confidence. Reach out to Chris Crow at 609-677-2243.
It's time to get a health plan that's perfect for times like this. A plan that has you covered for free doctor visits 24/7 with telemedicine and more. Get the plan more people choose than any other. Call 1-855-251-3131 today to get an Independence Blue Cross plan.
Peter Bucksbaum founded Philadelphia Mortgage Company with one goal in mind: to help people make smarter, better informed financial decisions when looking to purchase a home. With 40 years of experience and well over 10,000 clients served, PMC is committed to providing financial solutions and guiding individuals through the mortgage process. For your mortgage need, call Peter Bucksbaum at 215-740-8999 or visit philadelphiamortgage.com. Yeah, it's time for the Alumni Spotlight presented by our friends at iPipeline. Really exciting Alumni Spotlight. This episode, we have Rashon Howard, a men's track and field and cross country alum. He's sitting here grinning from ear to ear. Y'all can't see him. I'm so excited that we have him. Rashon, how you doing, man? How are things going?
I'm doing great, man. I'm excited to be here. I know it's a great time in LaSalle sports, and I'm excited, man.
Yeah, I want to start off with you introducing yourself to our listeners. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you've been up to since graduating, what you do for a living, and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So quick synopsis. I guess you can consider me an advocate for economic equality. And doing that, I'm a financial advisor, but everything I do, whether it be community service oriented, the organizations that I've been involved in, even my work on the alumni board at LaSalle, and some of the things that I've been able to still do around the LaSalle community is all predicated around closing the wealth gap in America and ensuring that everybody has the opportunity to the same knowledge, resources, and literacy to ensure that they have financial success. So, as a financial advisor, I run my own practice. I also have a nonprofit where it's called the Reach Up Foundation, where we work with high school students to ensure they have opportunities for entrepreneurship success. I have a for-profit, Shine LLC, stands for Strength, Hope, Opportunity, and Nourishment. And we use that company to get literacy out to the community in unique ways like webinars, seminars, speaking engagements. And of course, I run my own practice with a firm called 1847 Financial, who has been an absolute blessing to me. And by the way, speaking of alumni, as an alumni of the LaSalle track and field community, I've decided to come out of retirement. I've been on the track for the last year, and I want to see what this 33-year-old body can get done.
There you go. Listen, we're super proud of you over at LaSalle and love hearing the accomplishments that you're doing and all the good work you're doing out in the community. So, man, keep it up. Listen, we've talked to some of our student athletes this episode about Black History Month and the craziness that's going on in the world that we live in right now. And, first and foremost, what does Black History Month mean to you?
It's crazy that you asked that question, because in February, I'm asked that question a lot, especially around the circles that I'm in, because of course I'm in more, I would say, affluent circles, less diverse. And so I'm usually one of a handful of African-Americans in the room. And Black History Month, to me, is just the time that the world identifies the greatness of Black people and what Black excellence is. That's all it is to me, because I celebrate Black history 365 days of the year,
right,
12 months of the year, 52 weeks of the year. But when I'm able to see others acknowledge what people who look like me have done, it feels good, but also it reminds me of the work that still needs to be done during the other 11 months.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. And I asked some of our student athletes, and I'm curious to get your take on it. Like, yeah, recognizing and celebrating Black History Month is a start, but what else can we do as a society to recognize it as it should be recognized 365 days a year?
Yeah, and I think it's exactly what is done around America for the 28 days in February. Those things are done for other races, creeds, ethnicities for the other 11 months, right? So if we just get a little bit of the share of the airtime, that would be a good start, right? Like, can we get some airtime in March or June, or September? Like, can we get some airtime? And for the history that's continuing to be made, those, first time African-American CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, the first time, African-American politicians, and, people like an alumni, Joanna McClinton, who is the first African-American minority leader in the PA House. Those things, recognizing them not just in February, but in March, in June, in September, in October, recognizing them all of the months the same way we recognize others, that's a good start.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. And I think hopefully we get to that point sooner rather than later. I want to ask you about this commission that the Atlantic 10 put together, right? Back in September, you were named as a representative for Lasalle on the Atlantic 10's commission on racial equity, diversity, and inclusion. Have you started in your role with them yet?
Yes.
What has it been like? Tell our listeners a little bit about that.
Man, that was such a humbling, and I'm so honored to have had the opportunity. We started that work in September, and so there's representatives from each school in the Atlantic 10. Mm-hmm. And the first meeting, I was floored. The commissioner of the Atlantic 10 was on. There were presidents of each university on. All of the ADs were on, and they all were committed to, what the mission and the cause of the A10 really is. And it's, I talk about economic equality when we talk about economics and financials. They're talking about equality to ensure that all student athletes, no matter where their background comes from, is supported the way they need to be supported, whether it be financially, whether it be mentally, whether it be, through resources. And how do we ensure that support? And how do we make sure that we're not leaving any student athlete behind? Right. And, seeing in that first meeting, seeing such big wigs, that's my word for them, right? Like seeing the commitment, having the commissioner on there and having such a big part, the presidents and the ADs, it really, really says to me that the A10 is committed and they really want to help make change throughout the schools in the Atlantic 10.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's a good first step, and I'm excited to see the work that, you and this group continue to, do over the upcoming months and years ahead. Listen, you mentioned the LaSalle Alumni Board. I wanted to ask you about that. What's that experience been like for you as an alumni a proud alumni of LaSalle, serving on the alumni board and, having the impact that you've had, especially being a Black man?
Yeah, it's been a ball. I mean, to be fully transparent and honest, when you get somewhere like that, right, an alumni board or a board of trustees, or when you're at the top of any food chain, you see the good and you see the bad, right? So, you understand, as a student and a student athlete, I'm sitting there and sometimes you don't understand why some things are falling apart in certain aspects of the LaSalle community or of the university or of, the academia world. On the alumni board, I had the opportunity to see the problem, but also be a part of the solution. Mm-hmm. And being able to have a voice, not just for our alumni, but for our students, for our administrators, for everyone of the LaSalle community, as an African-American, to give that unique perspective. I realized right away that there was a perspective missing in that room. Right. And it wasn't just a Black perspective. It was the minority perspective as a whole. But also, I realized that the student perspective was lacking when I first became a part of the board in 2015. And I like to think that I've been able to help assist with the board getting younger, which as it has, and also help assist with us bringing more attention to what the students need. Because if we want alumni to donate, if we want alumni to participate and be catalysts and be ambassadors of the university, it starts the 4 years that we're on campus. It starts with what Lasalle was giving us when we're 18, 19, 20, 21. And if we don't fix those problems, then we're going to graduate bitter alumni, and they won't have the opportunity or won't want to give back and be ambassadors to the university. So, you know, the experience has helped me and helped the board really focus on the student body and how that affects them for their future. And it's been a ball.
Yeah, I mean, you certainly sound like you've enjoyed it. You know, you're smiling. You sound really upbeat and positive about it. That has to have been a cool experience for you. Listen, I hear you're a big cooker. You like to cook.
It is my serenity. Yes.
Listen, so give me your go-to dish, right? If I'm trying to, Valentine's Day is you know, just passed.
Oh, see, you put Valentine's Day in there, so we're gonna go with Valentine's Day go-to dish. You got to go with the seafood Alfredo, right? Okay. Or you go with the lobster mac, because you know who doesn't love a good lobster mac. But my go-to dish is definitely buffalo wings. I know I make the best buffalo sauce there is out there. I don't care. You could put any store, any bar, any restaurant up against my sauce. I am going to win every single time.
You heard it here. That's Rashon Howard. He's got the best buffalo sauce for his wings. We're going to have to get some. We're going to have to try it. We're going to have to you know, maybe get a taste testing contest or something going on with some of our athletic alumni or something. But listen, Rashon, I really appreciate you making some time and joining us on the podcast to talk about, you know, this really important issue going on in our society.
Yes, definitely. Thanks for having me.
All right. That's Rashon Howard, LaSalle track and field cross country alumni. We appreciate him for giving us some time today. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Inside the L, the podcast. I really appreciate all 5 of our guests for joining me to help educate me and educate our LaSalle community and anybody who has the opportunity to listen to the podcast, to learn about the difficulties that they've faced during their lives and the things that we can do to you know, help make that better and help change the culture that we see in the world. So really blessed and fortunate to be able to have them here on the podcast. That's all for this episode. We're going to catch you next time. See you in a few weeks here on Inside the L, the podcast. I'm Ed LeFurge. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to Inside the L, the podcast. Go Explorers!